with me is actually sharing what the artisanal, the life history of the artisanal and small-scale miners in Zimbabwe. Much has been said by my Tuso and Shamiso. They've actually given a brief background of the way the small-scale miners in Zimbabwe have been so much marginalized, and yet they contribute quite, or their contribution is actually significant to the mainstream economy. Now the picture there that I'm showing is, you see the principles of artisanal small-scale mining that is alive before the involvement of small-scale miners. Now I want to show you pictures of now what they are. Right now, the picture there that you're seeing are the people that were normally called or formerly called Makorokoza. And but what they produce, if you look at the numbers, I'm going to show you that these people in Zimbabwe, there are 1,000 or 1 million, 1.5 million people that are involved in that kind of activity in one way or the other. But their activities have been criminalized. And in 2006, we saw the arrest or Operation Chikorokoza Chapera, which saw those people being arrested and actually given a custodial sentence. And the number of people that have been arrested, according to the Attorney General's office, we have done a research on that. We have got 9,700 people that have been, in one way or the other, gone to jail because of that kind of activity. So, because they've been arrested, how much tonnage are we recording with Fidelity printers and refiners? Fidelity printers and refiners, they are only recording, as of current 2012, they recorded 2 tons from the 1.5 million people. Why are we recording 2 tons? So these are a number of challenges which I have to highlight to you so that the government really addresses and see the significance of the people that you think are Makorokoza. If you go elsewhere in the world, these people are called, they are prospecting for gold. But in Zimbabwe, they're called Makorokoza. That is kind of a derogatory term, and hence they were being arrested. But now we are happy that the Minister of Mines have recognized that these people are very, very important, and they are now trying or in the process of formalizing their operations. From what I've been showing you, I would like to show you what Zimbabwe Artisanal Small-Scale Miners or Mining Council is. I'll begin by actually giving you the background of the logo, why the logo was actually done in such a way. I think it's coming up. Right, now what you see there on the Zimbabwean map is that is Mzingwane River. That Mzingwane River and that activity there is what we call the Makorokoza. So what we are saying to those people, we want them to mine sustainably. And the only way for them to mine sustainably is that the government recognize their existence. For them to be mining sustainably is that the government recognize their existence. Now we go to the main presentation. Right, now looking at that, this is the area that we're looking at where these people that we're talking about, 1.5 million, are actually involved in the whole of Zimbabwe, with the concentration and our highest concentration of gold or illegal mining activities, which were in Caesar in Filabusi, where we're recording about plus or minus 5,000 at one particular area. Right, artisanal and small-scale mining activity is actually a profit-driven activity, and some people have indicated that this was actually a result of the Economic Structural Adjustment Program, which were also, if you notice, in 1991, a number of companies closed down. And when they closed down, the only means of survival was for the people to engage themselves in artisanal mining activities. But despite this, the government have not recognized the full or the significance of these people. And as I indicated, they have been arresting these people. But now let's look at now the participation of these people in the mining industry. I'll quickly go on to, because of the time that I've been given, quickly go on to the figures that they have produced. with fidelity printers and refiners. Right, in 2004, small-scale miners actually produced, as you can see on the pie chart, 60% of the 29 tons. In 2004, small-scale miners produced 60% of the 29 tons, and which mathematically means they produced 17.5 tons. This is because during that time, the government recognized and realized everyone who was having gold was not arrested. They would take it to the fidelity printers and refiners. And then in 2005, you can see the figure, it was 50-50 with the big mines. Here when I'm talking about the big mines, we're talking about the Metallions, the How mine, Shamba mines, and this is part of the big mine. They produced 50%, while the small-scale miners also produced 50% of that. And that was 13 tons that was produced. But thereafter, the government introduced what we call Operation Chikorokoza Chapere, right? That was in 2006, and which saw a total shutdown of all the small-scale mining activities in the country. And only for them to go back to mining, they were to do what we would say call environment impact assessment. So when I talk about environment impact assessment, this is when I'm looking at the legislative issues that have been hindering production by the small-scale miners. What are the legislative issues that we're looking at here? We're looking at one, EMA, Environment Management Agency. In 2008, from the 17 tons, where now it was EMA, small-scale miners produced 365 kgs. Now I'm talking from 17 tons to 365 kgs. In 2009, the figure was slightly rising to 1 ton, until the figure has now been roving around 2 tons, that is up to 2012. Now, what are the issues that we have to raise with environment impact assessment issues? The small-scale miners have been requested to write environment impact assessment reports or environment management plans. But the issue here is not that the miners do not want to write those plans, but it is to do with the cost and also to do with the documentation of those. For consultants, they're charging plus or minus 4,000 for a small-scale miner to write an environment impact assessment report. And then the document that the person is producing, the EIA report, is that most small-scale miners do not understand what is written in that book. For that book, which is costing 4,000, the small-scale miner does not understand the flora, the biodiversity, and etc. So what we have done with the Ministry of Environment is that we've asked them, which is done across elsewhere in Ghana, where people are supposed to write that environment management plan actually in vernacular, because the activities, as you notice on those pictures, is much to do with digging holes. It's much to do with actually tracing where there is a reef, and it's about the Chachera Gomba, no Futsira. I'll dig a pit and refill that. I'll cut a tree and do another bed. You plant another tree. So this is what we are trying to say: simple and checklist documentation where the small-scale miners do understand. So this is our issue that we are actually having at war with the Ministry of Environment. Not issues where the moment an environment person, actually officer, comes to your mind, the moment he enters the door, he notices that there is a ticket. And their tickets are ranging up to 5,000, and they also request, according to the Act, to close the mine so that you can pay the fine first. But now, where do you get the money to pay the fine when you've actually closed the mine? So these are the issues which we are trying to help the government address as part of the draft mineral policy which the government launched. Yes, of course, we might say that the Mines and Minerals Bill has been delayed, but the delay, if we have read it closely, it is not still much, it has not been changed from the Mines and Minerals Act, which was crafted in 1963. And also the Mines and Minerals Bill, as I read it closely, there's nothing to do with the small-scale mining activity in that bill as well. So we would rather go for the new draft mineral policy where they were saying they want to start afresh. Yes, according to what we are saying is we raised issues Zela officials or Zela personnel also there to do with the government actually recognizing and putting legal frameworks that would be palatable or actually working for the small-scale miners so that they're recognized and they contribute quite significantly to the mainstream economy. Now, I talked about that the government has introduced, is in the process, it's not really formal, it's not written anyway, that they're talking about formalization and registration of the illegal miners, the so-called proposals. But at the same time, we have had meetings with the CID Minerals and Border Control, and they say they don't know anything about that. We have actually told them that the ministry is in the process of formalizing the artisanal miners. So we would hope that such kind of exercise by the government, they first of all, because there's a statutory instrument which need to be repealed, statutory instrument of 2010, which 2006, which complied or made the artisanal miners, whoever was dealing with gold without formal papers, being arrested. So the scenario that they have now is that you identify, like I've shown you on the map, where there's a lot of illegal mining activity. And at that place, the Minister of Mines, or with the assistance of organizations like ourselves, we say now this is the place, and identify or register people in syndicates. Like in this room, the Great Indaba, the people that are there are registered in syndicates, and then those people are going to be issued out with a certificate. So what the ministry is planning to do is that we want to give a certificate and then you pay later on. But with the numbers of people that are involved, it is only the Ministry of Mines that is doing that. So we've requested that we could also assist in terms of technical assistance with the surveyors, with the peggers, and mind you, most peggers, their licenses have expired, and now for them to renew, they need 5,000. So the system is actually, there's need to revamp that whole system. Going on to even the custom milling centers. The custom milling centers, for someone to register a custom milling center, is $8,000. Now for the 8,000, so out of the 429 registered, formally registered with the Ministry of Mines, only 65 paid across the country the new license of 8,000. So what are the problems that we encounter during the milling process? Is that a number of millers do not have licenses. So the situation which is existing there is a voucher situation. Now when I'm talking about a voucher situation is that if Mtangazo brings ore, if the police come and say, this is my ore, and then already there is a non-existent relationship between the two because there's no license. So why are you making the license so difficult for people so that they end up cheating? And the loser always is the artisanal mine. Going on again, we have been talking about the diamond policy. The diamond policy, we were there at when they launched the diamond policy, and there was nothing to do with the artisanal or small-scale miners' involvement. Yet the Kimberley processing scheme actually requires that small-scale miners be involved in that. But the government of Zimbabwe have said that they would want to deal with the diamonds commercially, that is the charter diamonds commercially, and we are still trying to have people actually be involved. The only way they are involved in mining of diamonds in charter is having a partner, foreign partner from outside, but that's not direct involvement. So it has actually left Zimbabweans or the indigenous, the topics today which has to do with the indigenous people, to mine the traditional minerals. When I'm talking about the traditional minerals, which is gold, we used to mine, the small-scale miners used to mine chrome, and I've noticed the number of people here, Chief Nema also in, chrome was banned. Right, now the reason why it was banned, it was because of value addition. Right, now the government is not yet ready for value addition. The company that has been buying chrome, which is Masco, now they are failing again to process their own chrome that they are producing. So we're off to buy chrome from the other small-scale miners. So we hope that the new government is actually going to reconsider lifting of the ban. And of course, now when that has been put into place, I think at one time or the other, the Treasury Department from the Ministry of Finance, they wanted to find out what would be done with the chrome that is lying outside, that is 25,000 tons and so forth that we're talking about. But now I said, no, it's not about you opening a particular scheme and say, let's go and auction the 25,000 tons. But it's for the government to reopen, just give a lifetime, 5 years for the people to mine, and then you see what is going to happen. And then everyone knows that obviously you need to have fences and so forth. But we are not yet ready for that. So we hope that this system again is actually going to be put back and the miners benefit from that. And also we hope that the small scale miners at one time or the other are going to be involved in the mining of diamonds. Needless to say, even those that are mining diamonds, that are involved in the mining of diamonds from the big mining companies, Bada, Jinani, the salaries, I think I got to do a research on that, they're earning plus or minus $300 and how much is being involved in the actual selling of the diamond. So it's not really benefiting the communities involved, neither do it benefit the small scale miners. We have got also women miners who are also here present. We have Mrs. Tanda who will stand up for the people to see you. Tanda, she is the president for the women miners. Thank you very much. So other issues, those that think about those that are directly involved in the mining of whatever mineral, if you're a woman, you can see for assistance. Looking at case studies, like I've indicated, case studies, I've gone to Uganda, I've gone to Kenya. These are still, we hope maybe Zena will also go to those countries. These are countries that are still upholding the Chamber of Mines. I'm here talking about that because here in Zimbabwe, with small scale miners and the Chamber of Mines, we used to have a very big rift, and now we are understanding each other because they were actually saying, can the small scale miners be the members of Chamber, which is happening outside, and we said, how do you want me to be a member? And you compare, if you look at how mine, they produce plus or minus 450 or 400 kgs a month, versus my friend there, I learned with him, producing 20 grams a month, and then you sit in the same table. It doesn't work out. So he said, we need now the government to understand. This is why we are not getting assistance neither from the banks. We've had meetings with the Bankers Association so that they can come up with a scheme or can come up with a framework that will assist and give loans to the small scale miners. We are quite happy that but what is happening is that each and every year we talk, one bank agrees, and there's more of writing documents until the end of the year. Another bank agrees, there's more of writing documents. For example, Stanbic, we're meeting every Wednesday. Every Wednesday from 10 1-hour meetings and nothing, because in the end they'll say there is money, but you need collateral. And then the miners do not have collateral, they stay in the bush. So such kind of issues need to be redressed so that the country benefits from the figures that are being produced by numbers. Also to do with that is the issue of taxation. Zimbabwe's tax is actually very, very high. There's 7% reality, 2% presumptive tax, and then commission for fidelity printers, which after deductions is minus 16 of the London bullion market exchange rate versus minus 5%. So whoever is, we are all government in here, and you say, let's go and sell gold, you've got all 1 kg, and somebody is minus 5%, London bullion market, and there's minus 16%, and where do you go to? So these are what is giving us the smaller figures that you see being recorded at fidelity printers and refiners. So we have requested the Ministry of Finance to actually reduce the taxes so that it goes to 2% or even 1%, so that the government actually benefits from the CD1 forms. Whenever, if you go, for example, to South Africa, whatever you do in dealing with the gold, it will find its way to the Reserve Bank of South Africa. So this is what we want to have policies that whatever people are doing out in the bush or wherever under the carpet, then the gold finds its way to fidelity printers, like it happened in 2004. We would not want to have situations, I've given an example like Westgate, you all know Westgate, premises in Westgate, the old mutual had very nice premises, and it went for 5 years without tenants because they were very, very expensive, and they didn't want to budge, and they went on like that. This is what is happening again with our fidelity printers and refiners. But this Westgate, they've reduced the tenants, the fees, and now people are scrambling to get offices, and now it's full because they've reduced. So this is what we would want also to exist with the fidelity printers and refiners, so that we don't talk about the black market. We don't want to have people going to court because they've been dealing illegally. So we hope that the government is going to expedite the artisanal and the formalization of those centers. And they are trying to create, we are looking for stakeholders that would assist in creation of service centers, especially where we identify that there's been a lot of activity that is going on for the Makorogoza or illegal mining people being given license, and then there is a milling center there. Apart from the milling center, people can acquire extractive machinery like compressors, excavators at concessionary rates, and also those service centers being able to provide mining consumables, explosives, cyanide, etc., diesel, so that you don't have a compressor and then you don't have diesel. You have a compressor, but you don't have diesel. More than that, also, there will be the provision of the technical, there will be the provision of the technical people to assist in those service centers. Right now, lastly, before I go, is as I was going to in a charge office, the police came. So I saw a policeman reading a Bible, and I said to the policeman, "Oh, my friend, who killed Jesus?" And he said, "I don't deal with homicide. The person who deals with homicide is Second Churu there." Thank you very much. Thank
you. I've got 2 questions. My first is for Mr. Takavarasha. I think the various challenges that artisanal miners are facing were laid out, but still from the presentation, one doesn't understand the politics behind artisanal mining and getting recognition from the authorities. What I'm asking is, whose interests are really threatened by government giving full recognition to artisanal miners? Is it because giving them recognition is somehow a threat to political elites or economic elites? Is it about multinationals competing for the same stake with you? I think that has to come out, because it's not until you really understand what the symptoms from the root causes. Okay, you cannot think strategically about where do we engage with the government and change, the fortunes of artisanal miners. So I think that needs to come out, because I'm hearing a lot of symptoms and perspectives coming from different angles. And my second question will be for Derek, but he is not around, but I'll still put it out there. That from what I understand, the share ownership trusts, they are getting the equity from the mining companies, and these are held in trust on behalf of the communities. So the company gives over the equity and funds the handover of this equity, and then this funding should be paid back. It's a debt to the company to be paid back from the dividend that's going to come from whatever economic activity they've given. But my understanding is also that if this trust fails to pay back that debt, then I think the government adopts the debt at some point. So from where I see it, means that the public debt of Zimbabwe is actually much, much more than we think it is. Because it means those are contingent liabilities on the fiscus for tomorrow. If those trusts fail to pay, then it means the public debt is much, much more than we think it is right now. And that, I think, also should be of concern to Zela, because it means we are contracting public debt through means that are not part of public finance legislation. So I think those sort of things need to be unpacked, but I think we should be afraid of any community adding onto the pile of what is already owed.
Okay, right. Just to quickly respond to those questions. Now, one is, please let's not pretend that there are no artisanal miners in the country and forget about them and talk about sports miners. And when we're talking about the number that we say 1.5 million, we need to have at least these people have some form of license. The form of licensing means that at least they will adhere to compliance legislative issues, adhere to one, they know where to submit the goal to Two, they know that there's environmental issues. Let's look at examples like Zambia. There's actually an artisanal license, which I have on my computer, where you are given a very small piece of land, which is minimum 5 hectares. And then those people, in their heads, they are compliant with some issues. But if you are saying, and then we remain with 2 tons. In 2004, when these macrobos were recognized, the government had 17 tons. But now when they started arresting them, the government had 2 tons. Who is losing? So it's here trying to put the people into a form of trying to be accountable to where they are operating, trying to account again to what they are getting and extracting and produce to government. Thank you.